So we have a running joke at our farm. It can be in the nursery, it can be in the anteroom. The mites only want to live inside, whether you hand wash, foot bath, but these guys are looking pretty good. So this was, we're getting close to 35 days. This was the mite affected row, but you can see how quickly we caught it. You probably didn't see it because I haven't posted videos in like 11 days. One of my goals this year is to get 1,000 subscribers on the channel, and only you can help me do that. So please give me a like, a subscribe, comment down below, ask me any questions, and together we can grow this channel. This was Zwaan green to red jet. We're fighting mite inside here. We're gonna probably always fight mite. So what we did is we have backups, but these guys have been getting a daily dose of Yara's CALCINIT, Masterblend's 418 38 plus foliar fertilizer. We did a heavier spray this week for our mites, but you can see that the plants are really doing good. And this is 2 plants per bag, and they're starting to build decent thickening. I would say that I would really want to stick with bags moving forward. Bags are just expensive, but I've actually grown in these bags for about 2 years now. I think I've done 2 years in these bags. Maybe not. I've done atsal, then pepino, so like cucumber, then tomates, and then I did celery for the last grow, and then I just refreshed. I bought about 50-60 bags and did that. These guys are looking really good. One of the big procedures we've been doing is staying out of the greenhouse and just letting it grow, because as you can see at the top, they're still getting hit with mite, and could be a little bit of thrip. It's so hard to tell, but inside here, it's one of those big things where we're in a hot climate. We're always going to have that issue. These guys are just smaller. That's why they look smaller than other ones. So you're going to see that as well. Even though we're doing a lot of trellising, pruning and whatnot, they're still producing a lot of heads like this one. So there's a lot of pruning that has to be done as well, just to keep it growing upright. We want these to grow really tall, at least up to the top, but not too tall that we can't maintain them. Other than that, the same problems that we had last week. You got a little bit of mite there. Still got to do a little bit of pruning action. We're trying to hit the first V across, so like this one right in there, that's the first V, so we want to pick that one. As you can see, one thing that we've noticed with the red jet variety is that it actually produces 2 flowers per V. That's kind of the normal that it's done. So you want to try to catch it each time, but sometimes you can't. So we're going to try to catch these this week. So I'm going to have the guys pick out the first V. So I still see a lot of first Vs, first V. We're going to try this different because in the other greenhouse we didn't pick it, and they might have stunted themselves out. We also know that if we touch the plants a lot, we're going to have more issues when it comes to spreading mites and everything. So we're going to have to step up our preventative measures just to keep them down. But overall it looks pretty good. There's a little bit of replacements here. Everyone's kind of pruning, trellising, getting that. It smells wonderful inside the greenhouse, which is good, because that's a good sign of the health of the plant. Like peppers, I really have this like unique smell to them. So when you have a happy greenhouse, it should have a really nice smell. So one of the good things that we're doing with this formula is the size of the leaves. It's a really massive leaf. So I'm also want to check underneath to kind of see if there's anything hiding under here, because I am noticing some, like here, this is most likely fall armyworm. So I'm going to probably adjust my sprays for that, because we notice the fall armyworm comes into here, most likely because, see that right over there? That's a cornfield. So they really like getting into the corn, and then they'll move into here. So it wouldn't be surprise me, because we experienced the same thing in that greenhouse as we're doing right now. So that's one of the big things that you notice on your farm. You only get it by growing. The books can tell you so much, but you know, you can't spray endlessly either. So you just kind of observe. Your plants are going to get a little damage. It's lower leaves, not a big deal. We're going to spray it out and treat. So let's see, what is this, 35 days? We still have a little bit of mite. I'm seeing it more back into here. Mites will ebb and flow. I've got a good idea where I spray every day, but it's water, because mites will drown with water. So we're going to spray constantly every day just to make sure that they're getting washed off the plant. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I haven't really found anything else that would work as well. And who knows if it's really going to work, but in theory, it should work, right? In theory, we should be able to grow really good peppers. It's not hot, so my face won't be dripping with sweat. But overall, we're gonna make sure we pick out the first flower this week. There's a lot on this row that need to get picked. We're not gonna top or do anything like that. I don't think we need to. We're just gonna continue to spray daily. We have the same problems we always have. We have mite, we have probably a little bit of thrip, and we have army worm. It's very common, so we're going to treat for that. Normally right now I'm thinking we're gonna do Confidor, Bayer's Confidor. We're gonna do Syngenta Match, and we're probably gonna do Karate. I think we did Agri-Mech last week, so do DuPont Laninate or Karate. These are just some things I'm spitballing. Again, things are always change. I don't see any fungus. I've been doing Score, Syngenta Score, just a general preventative, and then there's another one that I've been doing. I'll write down later. Maybe I'll put it down in the comments what it is. So overall, it's not too bad. We got good growth. They're about a foot high, 1.5 feet high, and we have strong flower development. We're going to pick out the first flowers, and then we'll readdress next week because we're harvesting that. Let's go into the disaster that is greenhouse 2. All right, you'll notice off the bat that this greenhouse, there's a lot less foliage other than just a lot of weeping foliage. So it's doing okay. We did do a massive prune up, mainly to get on hand with the mites and the thrips. So we decided the best course of action is to de-leaf and get down to 2 Vs. We can always regrow, and then it can speed up the process of ripening. We noticed that sometimes when you get all this stuff at the top, that you end up having issues with your plants. We also picked out 20 liters of top peppers because apparently you don't want to top your plant, but you need to get rid of the mites. And once the mites go away, then your plant will continue to produce fruit and shoot up. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to make not a perfect pepper. So we got rid of a lot of stuff that was going to be there because your plant's going to waste so much time and energy growing this pepper that isn't nice. It's already a grade C pepper. It looks like this. It's going to waste its energy on this. I know it looks kind of pathetic in there. So you just pick it right off, and that's what it ends up looking like. That's why I call it like a little disaster. We don't know why they're coming in this greenhouse so heavily when we've really been treating on a pretty consistent basis, other than the weather could be causing a lot of that issues. We're still having that issue. We're not sure what's actually causing other than it is in our field. So the easiest way to fix that is de-stress the plant or stress the plant out and then kind of move it from there. We're kind of just eyeballing this one because it's producing just enough to be profitable on a weekly basis for us, but we have to run it for about, let's see, this one. These are nice. They could almost be picked, but you don't know what's going to die because you could have a plant like that, and then by the time you harvest next week, it could be dead. So what we decided is that we're going to prune it up, remove as much issues as we can, and then we're going to try to reflower and get these guys to grow higher. These guys, I think we might have stunted out because we kept the king flower on them. So that's why it's kind of like one of those hard issues to really trace what's going on. We don't know why it's so prevalent back here, other than we're very close to another farm in the back. It has corn, it has active crops, but we're just getting literally eaten alive with profits on terms of that. It should be way more profitable than it is. We're pulling out about 150, average is about 75 kilos per harvest, but your target needs to be 161 for the size of the greenhouse. This is 500 square meters of greenhouse, but you can see like the devastation is just really, really creeping in. So it's going to most likely be a break even. You're not going to have enough to roll into another crop. So what we're going to do is we're just going to flatten it. We're going to roll right into lettuce inside protected culture. If we can keep it going, we'll let you know. Follow the channel and give me feedback of what you see. This goes contrary to a lot of others. Another farmer friend would not have pruned it up, but I think one of the only ways to stop the spread of the mites is to remove everything that had mite and be very, very, very strict about it, because we can't tell what's going on. Because like I said, you're in this conundrum. If you treat for mite, you're going to enable the soil. And if you treat for soil, you're not enabling the mite. So it's really that really hard part. It's a really tough situation to kind of describe what's kind of going on inside the greenhouse on a week-to-week basis, because we know what we're doing, we know what we've done, but we're also noticing we're not having any issues in the other greenhouse other than the mite. And we know that if we let them thrive, then it's going to be a recurring issue. So that's why we're kind of changing up things just a little bit, just to make sure that the crop at least reaches 18 weeks of harvest. To reach 18 weeks of harvest, it'll be a break-even crop just based on the yield numbers. Not enough to really kill it outright, just let it wither and die. As long as we manage it, it'll be okay. But we also want to make sure that it's not wasting time on fruit that's going to be a known reject. That's just wasted plant energy. You can see this is just utterly not good. So I also want to see if I can get it to go higher, because if it doesn't grow higher, and right now I'm doing 2-time application a week, so 10 grams of plant Yara Nitrobor, 10 grams of winter per plant. So we just count the plants and then we just drench it. Our irrigation is old, even though it's only like a couple years, it's old, and we've had a lot of issues. It's pretty much good enough to do water, but not good enough to carry fertilizer. We don't trust it to actually handle the fertilizer, especially Yara, because it's really not water soluble. I can make it water soluble, but it needs to flow. And we just think that that's been a lot of issues too, is you're going to see issues with that. I am still seeing good signs that in the healthy plants, they are putting on new growth with the mite, which is what I want to see as well. I want to see that I can prune the crap out of the plant and then get it to bounce back. And if I can get some control back into it, like here we have some new growth there, and then we'll actually be able to continue the crop. And like I said, I'm just aiming for 18 weeks of harvest, and right now we're looking at 75 kilos. So do the math on that one. Probably about 1,500 to 2,000 kilos, which is break even. 3,000 is profitable to carry over. That's just kind of the numbers work. Pepper prices are actually lower right now, and that's why we're really only trying to sell the grade A. We're not trying to sell the reject, because even though we could sell it to some other ones, I really just want to make sure that I maximize the value of my crop going out the door when I do sell it. So that's kind of my observations for this greenhouse. You're going to have in this, like, again, it can have nice fruit. It looks really nice. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm checking out, boss. I'm out of here. And that's kind of what we don't know. We don't want to waste a bunch of time if it's going to end up checking out on itself, because it was a nice healthy plant before, but something's in the root zone killing it, right? So this is your management thing. We're not going to kill it outright, because we can still earn some money back from it. We can still prep the soil for the next crop, because again, the only issues that we're really having with this one is the fact that it did have salacious within the past 2 years, and that could cause further spread of the pathogen in the soil. But if you plant lettuce, or you plant cucurbits, or you plant any other plant variety, it will not have the same effect, because that pathogen exponentially attacks the same variety of plants. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody of what's kind of going on here. You don't notice it as much when you first plant a crop, but then when you come back in and do a second cycle of that, even if you solar sterilized everything, you never get it all. You then end up enabling, because it's the same variety, it's going to be exponentially damaging to your crop. Hopefully I explained that well. That's how it was explained to me. That's kind of what we're seeing right here. So this side ended up being a little bit better. You can see that there's not as much here. There's not as much in the back, but you can see that there's a lot down into there. So yeah, it happens. You know what I mean? So that's one of the big things right before Christmas. So it happens. That's why I really made this channel, is I wanted to make sure that you can see the good and the bad. Right now you'll see video of our lettuce near 100% germination. So we did Edamine, we did Invicta, and what's the other one that we did? This is Bamco. So we have romaine, an iceberg, and then like a red type lettuce. So this would be pretty good. Sorry, I'm not a lettuce person, I'm a pepper person, but this is beautiful. It always starts off beautiful, right? You know, it always starts off beautiful. The running joke we've been having recently is we have 0 pest issues in our nursery, but once we bring them into the greenhouse, we always have pest issues. So here's gonna be some dampening off, because that's just gonna happen due to the heat. Again, this is lettuce. Lettuce normally prefers colder temperatures, so we're gonna probably do a little bit of spraying for dampening off. Just kind of hardy them up, but they look really nice for their size. Again, I haven't grown this variety yet. I'm not a lettuce farmer, but if you look at this is going to be nice. So we're going to do this about 3 times. The fields are already getting prepped, so probably the start of the new year we'll be able to go into the fields and get that going. So it's really nice. I really like this picture. So definitely take a look at the seeds that we've grown, and then I'll elaborate more with our processes. All right, so this is field 1. So what they've done is flattened the row, mixed up the media. We don't want to mix it too much. I really hate disturbing the top part, mainly due to microbial action and stuff that we've worked so hard over the past 2 years to go. So this will be where lettuce will go in. We're also going to put lettuce inside greenhouse 1 once we end up, greenhouse 2 once it ends up dying out. The soil looks really good. I pH tested it off camera about 2 weeks ago. It was about 6.8, so it's pretty good to start. Our drip irrigation is a pain in the butt. We got a lot of farm dogs, and sometimes they attack the drip hoses. This is the other hidden cost of agriculture, is that sometimes your animals will attack your stuff. You just have to deal with it. I guess like in the States, you have deer. You've got a lot of other things that kind of just attack, and these are the parts of farming that are just never spoken. Everyone worries about, what fertilizer do I use? What do I spray? How do I do crop management? How do I do this? And then you end up losing like half your crop to like a deer jumping over your fence or something silly to that effect. So out here will be about 40,000 heads of lettuce per 60 to 80 days. Depending on how well we space it out. Or again, we're going to alternate in between the rows. We're going to have like one of like a Salanova, and then a romaine, and then an iceberg. And then we're probably going to do one row where we mix it, but probably space them differently in the row, just to kind of make like a pretty harvest row. The right seed is Zwaan, at least in my environment. I've had 0 issues with germination for 2 different varieties, and I've had no issues when I start it. I'm now having issues when I grow it, which is bad, because that means it's probably me. It means most likely I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong, or I just had bad luck, because soil pathogens, this is why you have to grow in soilless bags for certain crops, because I can't predict the future. So right now the soilless looks really good. I'm not too worried about that. But again, you know, if you really like the channel, give me a like, a subscribe, comment down below, ask me any questions, and we'll see you next week.